Let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a fascinating, incredibly high-stakes area of healthcare. And the wild part? It operates almost entirely behind closed doors. We're diving into Rose ECV's absolute game-changer of a 2010 publication from the AORN Journal, all about the collaboration between perioperative nurses and the sterile processing department. We're going to unpack exactly why the relationship between these two specific groups is quite literally a matter of life and death. It's really a masterclass in how invisible, behind-the-scenes systems completely shape frontline outcomes.
So we have to start things off by asking a pretty fundamental question. When you picture a successful surgery, what comes to mind? You probably picture a highly skilled surgeon, right? Or a dedicated nurse. But what actually connects the gleaming, perfectly sterile tools they're holding to the safety of the patient lying on that table? To really grasp medical error prevention, we have to understand how the tools prepped far away from the spotlight directly dictate the ultimate stakes, human lives. It's a completely unbroken chain. If one single link snaps, the whole system fails.
Section 1. The Patient Safety Link. CV hits the nail on the head right out of the gate with this quote. Ensuring patient safety requires collaboration between all members of the surgical team, which includes personnel in the sterile processing department. That right there anchors this whole explainer in the absolute necessity of teamwork. Safety? It's not a solo act. It's a massive organizational achievement. If we want to properly manage safety, we have to realize the surgical team isn't just the folks wearing scrubs in the operating room. It absolutely includes the people who prep the room, sterilize the instruments, and set the stage before the patient even rolled through the doors.
Moving right along to Section 2, the OR and SPD connection.
Okay, so who exactly are the key players here? Let's break it down. On one side, we've got our perioperative nurses. These are the frontline healthcare heroes directly managing the patient's care before, during, and after surgery. They're the face of the operation. Now, on the flip side, usually far, far away from the drama of the OR, we have the sterile processing department, or SPD personnel. Think of them as the vital preparation engine, often working way down in the basement of the hospital. They're the ones handling the insanely complex decontamination, sterilization, assembly, and inventory of every single medical device. We're talking about distinguishing the high-stakes, patient-facing frontline from the invisible but absolutely essential engine room.
Think about it. The contrast between these two worlds is kind of mind-blowing. The operating room is intense, it's immediate, and the entire focus is on the living, breathing human being right in front of them. The SPD, on the other hand, is meticulous, deeply process-driven, and hyper-focused on the complex machinery and instruments needed for that care. But here's the kicker. Even though they're in totally different areas doing entirely different tasks, CV points out they share an incredibly close, deeply interdependent relationship. One literally cannot function without the flawless execution of the other.
Which brings us to Section 3, resolving interdepartmental friction.
Now, let's be real for a second. Wherever you have high interdependency, you're going to have the potential for conflict, right? And the research identifies a major hurdle here, psychological friction. Imagine a tray arrives in the OR right in the middle of a procedure, and it's missing a critical piece. That is not just a minor inconvenience. It actively destroys trust. The OR staff feels like the SPD's dropping the ball, while the SPD feels the brunt of the OR making these high-stress, unreasonable last-minute demands. This friction degrades their professional relationship, and worst of all, it skyrockets the risk of medical errors. When trust breaks down, safety protocols are way more likely to slip through the cracks.
So, how do we fix it? Let's get into Section 4, strategies for collaboration.
CV doesn't just point out the problem. She gives us a strategic roadmap to bridge the gap. She lays out 4 really actionable steps to turn that friction into actual cooperation. Reduce instrument set errors, foster teamwork, improve communication, and comply with evidence-based policies. Let's dig into how these actually play out on the ground.
Starting with strategy 1, it's all about the tangible stuff, reducing instrument set errors. I mean, if the main source of the conflict is missing or dirty tools, then directly fixing those mistakes in the inventory instantly removes a massive pain point. You gotta fix the root operational issue first. When an OR nurse knows they can pop open a tray and trust its contents 100%, you wouldn't believe how much tension just completely evaporates. Then we move to strategies 2 and 3. Once you fix the functional errors, you have to build up the human connection. And hey, improving communication isn't just some fluffy academic jargon. It means setting up clear channels where feedback happens without pointing fingers.
What happens when perioperative nurses and SPD staff actually understand the daily grind and pressures of each other's jobs, maybe through cross-training or just shared meetings? Well, misunderstandings absolutely plummet and genuine teamwork actually takes root. And finally, strategy 4, ensuring strict adherence to policies. But wait, not just any policies. We're talking about policies securely anchored to the most current evidence-based guidelines out there. In healthcare, standards for sterilization evolve super fast. So relying on shared up-to-date guidelines means the OR and the SPD are playing by the exact same rulebook. There is zero room for, well, we've always done it this way, when a patient's life is on the line. Sticking to current evidence guarantees both departments are completely aligned on safety. Let's bring it all home in Section 5, the ultimate goal. When these 4 strategies are actually put into practice, the outcomes are, frankly, profound. We're talking vastly improved working relationships and a huge drop in misunderstandings. But the big payoff, the whole reason this 2010 study is such a big deal for healthcare administration, is the comprehensive prevention of medical errors. You literally transform a hospital from a bunch of siloed departments bickering over inventory into a deeply cohesive environment where patient safety is locked down by mutual trust. When the engine room and the front line are perfectly in sync, the patient wins every single time.
So I want to leave you with this to chew on, even if you don't work anywhere near a hospital, because we all rely on unseen systems, right? Where is the hidden sterile processing department in your own industry or even your daily life? What are the invisible collaborations happening behind the scenes that are secretly dictating your frontline success? And more importantly, how can you build better bridges with them starting today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.